impression yourself, Nuchi teaches you to practice the habit of mirroring. That is, subtly mimicking the gestures and body language of the person you're talking to. This habit was on full display when the premier of South Korea, Moon Jae-in, met with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in 2018, a historic summit that brought together the heads of the two Koreas. If you watch videos of that summit, you'll see that the two leaders' body language and movements are incredibly synchronized. They bow to each other at approximately the same angle and for the same duration. When they eat together, they eat at roughly the same pace. This mirroring not only worked to show that the two Korean leaders were united, it was also how each leader sought to make a good impression on the other, by showing respect. By demonstrating alignment and amiability in this way, you too can make a good first impression. So, ready to mirror? Blink number 6. By highlighting the importance of indirect communication, Nuchi helps you cultivate smoother social relationships. Say you're a teenager with something really big to ask your parents. Maybe you want to get permission to sleep over at your best friend's house or attend a concert with your friends. You'll probably think very hard about when it would be best to ask for what you want. You might know that asking mom before her morning coffee when she's tired and irritable is not the best time. Or that dad is more likely to say yes while he's watching his favorite sitcom in the evening. For some reason, when people become adults, they seem to think that all this feeling out of moods is behind them. They're grown up and mature. They can just speak directly, can't they? The trouble is, communication varies from person to person and from family to family. In one family, if the big sister is mad, it might be normal for her to shout, "I'm mad at you." However, in another family, she might say, "I'm going for a walk," and leave the house. People's communication styles are largely the product of their upbringing. That's why the ability to suss out people's moods and feelings through their indirect cues is central to nuchi. Nuchi is essential for getting along in romantic relationships too. While many experts say that in a relationship, the onus is on you to express your needs clearly, the fact of the matter is that communication is often way more complex. If you've ever had a partner who can't read between the lines or who has no idea how his words and actions affect you, then you're probably familiar with how tricky this can be. You might come home exhausted after a stressful work week, for example, and have him insist that you accompany him to his friend's birthday party, not understanding that "I'm tired" means you don't want to go. It's just as important that you read between the lines in other social relationships too. Might your best friend's recent irritability have to do with the strain of looking after her ailing mother? If so, what activity can you plan for the two of you to help her relax and have a good time? Cultivating nuchi in this way will make for smoother, more considerate relationships in all spheres of your social life. Blink number 7. Nuchi is essential for helping you read your workplace accurately so you can move ahead in your career. You know that person in the office who's climbed up the career ladder much farther than you think she should have? She may be competent, but she's not exceptional, and yet she gets ahead. How? It's not because she has some special connection to the boss. She gets ahead because she has really good nuchi. If you want to get ahead at work too, you need to watch and learn from her. That's because the office is not a transparent environment. In fact, it's the epicenter of indirect communication and doublespeak. It's for this reason that nuchi is such a useful tool for navigating the office. How can you use it there? For one thing, you'll learn a lot more by reading the room rather than your company's official statements or announcements. Whenever there's a work outing, meeting, or social gathering, spend a few moments observing the room before speaking to people. Who's present, and who are they standing with or talking to? Does their body language suggest a hierarchy that's different from the official hierarchy listed on the company website? Who is hovering by whom? Such observation will give you deeper insight into the power dynamics of your workplace. Let's say the founder of the company seems to like hanging out with the deputy director rather than with the director. Then it's probably a good idea for you to give as much consideration to cultivating a good relationship with the deputy director as you do with her superior, even if on paper she has less power than he does. But nuchi isn't just useful if you work for a company or an organization. It's also useful if you're your own boss. Many of the most successful entrepreneurs get ahead because they have good or quick nuchi. They're extremely agile and astute in reading what consumers, and the public more generally, want. Take Steve Jobs, founder of Apple. He demonstrated his quick nunchi when the company was developing its first version of the iPod. He insisted to his developers that a user should be able to find any song in 3 clicks or less. Intuitively, Jobs knew what users would find annoying, which points to his powers of nunchi. The iPod was such a big hit that it set Apple on the path to becoming one of the most successful companies in the world. The rest, as they say, is history. Blink number 8. Nunchi gives you the tools to influence people at work. If only you could shake a magic wand and get everything you want at work, from promotions to choice assignments. The trouble is, getting what you want largely depends on your ability to influence people both above and below you in the office hierarchy. And influencing people is not always an easy task. Thankfully, Nunchi shows you the way. The best way to influence your boss using Nunchi is to figure out what he needs and then present yourself as the solution. Let's say you want a promotion, but you know that your company is going through rough financial times. Just going into your boss's office and asking isn't likely to work. However, you notice that your boss is spending a lot of time managing meetings and doing administrative work instead of using that time to bring in new business as she's supposed to. At your next check-in meeting, propose taking on more of the managerial and administrative work, giving her more time for other things. This doesn't just help her, it also positions you for a promotion. Another Nunchi approach to influencing people is the Socratic method. It's a way of questioning people developed by the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates. By asking questions, Socrates showed people the flawed logic in their arguments, thus subtly leading them to agree with him. Let's say a colleague of yours decides to use Disney images for the marketing materials you're both supposed to send out via email. It's clearly a bad idea, but you know better than to say so outright. Your colleague is super prickly when he's challenged. To get him to change his mind, ask strategic questions like, "Wow, you got permission from Disney to use those images? How did you do that so quickly?" He'll have to admit that no, in fact, he didn't get permission from Disney. In which case you respond, "Great, so the legal department has finally gotten off our backs about getting sued?" He'll then have to confess that he hasn't run the campaign by the legal department. By this point, your colleague may well begin to question the wisdom of his decision. Just by asking questions, you've gotten him to see the error of his ways. With Nunchi, you won't just be able to influence people at work tactfully. By mastering practices such as reading the room and stilling, you'll raise your game to a whole new level both inside the office and out of it. You just listened to our blinks to The Power of Nunchi by Uni Hong. The key message is that to become a true Nunchi master, focus on observing others and reading the room rather than loudly asserting yourself. Furthermore, embrace the values of collectivism, roundness, and understanding in order to gain a deeper insight into your social surroundings. By doing so, you'll be able to gauge other people's thoughts and emotions in a way that'll help you move forward in both your professional and personal lives. And here's a bit of actionable advice. Ignite flow and connection at work. Next time you're running a work meeting, bring a food item to pass around. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Any candy, something as simple as chocolate kisses, will do. Begin by saying, "Hi there, everyone. I've brought some chocolate." Make sure you use the word everyone, which creates the feeling that everyone is included in the group. Pass the chocolate to the person sitting next to you, asking them to help themselves, and pass the box onwards. It's that circular motion of passing the treats around that creates flow and ignites a feeling of community. And last but not least, we always love to hear what you think about our content. Just drop an email to